Yeah, I love the profiles menu. There's a couple of levels to it. First of all, you get straight into it and you get a sort of a quick pen portrait of that student. So things like contacts, parents, mobiles, things like that are very, very easy to get straight away. Then straight after that, you can get into a sort of deeper dive in terms of any notes from pastoral care in the past. Very easy to use. You can also look at their recent attendance and track their attendance, and really within a couple of minutes really have a good idea of how that student is travelling academically, pastorally, and have all the information at hand before you pick up the phone or get onto the email for a parent.
There was a few parents that were a bit resistant to having the use of the portal, but once they've got onto it, they've loved it. And it's made it a lot easier because they're not having to do an email, they're not having to ring the school. We used to receive 20, 30 calls a day, and now we virtually get no calls a day. So they've obviously really embraced it.
I think Sentral's really easy to use. It's really easy to manipulate and access different areas, and for a HOD, it can cut down your workload if you use it in the right way. You can use the incidents to sort of create, instead of emails, you can create a really detailed profile of a student. And therefore, every time I access it as a HOD, or a teacher is trying to get some information, or the year co is trying to get information, they can get this complete picture of the student all in one place that can allow them to make a really informed decision.
Well, look, we're on a beginning of our journey into data analytics here, which is very exciting for me and hopefully others as well. But I can just see from Sentral that things are really clean and very easy to access there. I've been just using Markbook for the first time in the last week or so. That's fantastic, really easy to use, much more of an improvement on what we've had before. What we want to move to is a more of a sort of a live marking scenario, and Sentral makes that really, really good because you can just, teachers can upload their marks straight away, and then someone like myself or heads of department can really analyze the data very, very quickly and efficiently. I love the way it links into other modules as well and other pieces of software we're using in teleschools, and I know that links in very well with Sentral, and it's pretty smooth, so you can actually access all the data from Sentral in a couple of clicks, and that just makes my life particularly really much easier.
From a risk and compliance perspective, we want to be able to give children every opportunity to be able to look at curriculum through different avenues, and I think excursions is a really good way to do that. Previously we did have a workflow, but it was sort of, it sat with different people and it was all paper based, so you weren't sure whether, you know, the assistant to the deputy principal has scheduled the excursion. It was just a little bit of a piecemeal and kind of not as efficient way to do things.
Okay, so before Sentral, the excursions procedure was that we would get a piece of paper that has been filled in with all the excursion or incursion details. We would then approve that. It would then require us to send back an email to that staff member letting them know that it's been approved, ask for a form to be filled in for their bus bookings, for their catering requests, and then we'd also ask for a risk assessment, which would be quite a large document that they would have to fill in. And all of those were separate forms. That's all now been automated onto the system.
What we've found with Sentral is you can really look at the workflow, look at the steps. I think there's like 7 steps in our excursion workflow. You can see where it sits. So, for example, you know, the assistant to the deputy principal will have the first sort of working. So once the teacher puts in the excursion, the assistant to the deputy principal will kind of go through the scheduling with them, figure out what the actual excursion is, and then it just goes through that workflow to the different people that are there to manage it.
I think most people think it's a bit more intuitive. It's easier to find what you need when you need it, and the navigation bar at the top just takes all the clicking away. I was very, very happy when I heard we were getting it, and I'm still really happy that we've got it.